Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week, 10 days. In today's video, actually it's the first video today, second video will be coming up this evening, and we'll have a final look, it's 7th and final look at the bank holiday weekend. And still a few questions about that in terms of bank holiday Monday, but I'll have more about that for you, of course, this evening. This video is going to be looking at weather for the next week to 10 days, and this will take us to around the 4th of June. So we're going to see what the models are showing as we're going into the first month of summer. Going to start off with Central England temperature. It's rocketing up with this very warm weather that we've got at the moment. So CT currently provisionally up to yesterday, 24th of May, standing at 12.4 degrees, an anomaly of nearly 1.5 degrees above average. We may well be able to lift that more over the next few days. It's going to stay very warm into bank holiday weekend. So we could come out with a deviation in the end of around 2 degrees above average. So another very significantly warmer than average month to go with the run of warm months that we're having at the moment. February came in over 2 degrees above average. March came in over 3 degrees above average. April was closer to average, still above average, but closer to average at 1 degree above average. And now it looks like we're going back to around 2 degrees above average again. If this anomaly was to continue into the summer, obviously we would have a hot summer, because if you have a temperature 2 degrees above average in July or August, you're going to be talking about a month that's above 18 Celsius in terms of the Central England temperature region. That is a hot month. So it'll be interesting whether we keep this deviation going into the summer months. Of course, Gazweather's summer forecast will be released on Sunday, and on Saturday we'll have the final seasonal model roundup for the summer of 2017. So all the summer stuff will be coming up over the weekend. Right, have a look at weather next week to 10 days. We're going to start off with 500 mm high dynamic flow charts. We've got the ECMWF here on the top. The GFS, have a look at that in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure, low pressure, being driven by a jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and orange and red extrapolates to high pressure. So these are mean flow charts for the next week to 10 days. The ECMWF, actually as we're going into June, is placing quite a deep trough out to our west and bringing the jet stream back in as well. So that does look quite a lot more unsettled there as we're going into June from the ECMWF. That would imply really quite an unsettled opening week to the month, with a fairly deep area of low pressure sitting just to our west and southwest. The GFS is significantly different, however. So what we see there is that we've got an area of above average heights, quite a weak one, but it is above average heights to Scandinavia. No real trough to speak of in the Atlantic, although the kink in the isobars probably is a little bit of a trough in the 500 millibar flow, but certainly nothing like the trough that the ECM is developing. And overall, the GFS is much more settled with this today, going through the first week of June. So quite a split, actually, between the GFS and the ECMWF today as to how things are going to play out when we get through into the first week of June. GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next 2 weeks looking like this. So the red line here is the 30-year temperature average. Really warm at the moment, staying warm as well through to the end of the month. It's 1st of June just there. Around the turn of the month, we start to see a decline in the temperatures, although more or less staying above average. And we're not talking about going cooler than average, so temperatures probably still coming out quite warm, really just not as warm as we've got right now. We'll have going into the bank holiday weekend. For precipitation, the next few days looking very dry into the weekend, turning more unsettled. That's the sort of showery conditions. There is a question mark about both the storms on Saturday, where they're going to be affecting, thinking about maybe the north and west, and then on bank holiday Monday, well, Sunday night bank holiday Monday, how much rain we bring up from the south. Going through the first week of June, it looks like we've got more showery conditions coming up, but again, not desperately wet, although that precipitation spike just there looks quite alarming, but clearly it is an outlier. There aren't many precipitation spikes doing what that one is doing. I would suggest it's the same idea as we've had within the models over the past few days, which is showery and a little bit cooler as we're going through the first week of June. but probably not all that unsettled. This is how the temperature anomaly is looking for the next week. This is going from the 25th of May through the 2nd of June. It's coming out warmer than average for the UK and Ireland. Most parts of Europe warmer than average as well. Just northern parts of Scandinavia and down into Russia where we're colder than average. Also southeastern Europe coming out a little bit cooler than average too. It'll still be hot though in Greece and Turkey, of course. The precipitation anomaly for the next week, 25th of May through the 2nd of June, is really around or a little bit drier than average for most parts of the country. You notice there is a wetter zone just there for the central parts of England. That, I would have thought, is being caused by those showery bursts of rain, which might be quite heavy on Bank Holiday Monday. But overall, it looks like the next week still coming out a little bit on the drier and average side for most parts of the country. Right, this is how the GFS is looking for Bank Holiday Monday then, and this is the system that's causing all of the headaches, Bank Holiday Monday, this area of low pressure just here. What's going to happen with that? This is pushing northwards out of France, so that by 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, we find low pressure is actually over the top of England. So that's taking that showery rain out of France and pushing it northwards through Bank Holiday Monday. The extent and severity of that rain is still very, very uncertain, and we will be covering this in depth as we go into the final update for the late spring Bank Holiday weekend this evening. After that, we know the GFS looked quite a bit more unsettled compared to the ECMWF, and what actually happens is that high pressure bridges back in again on this run of the GFS through the middle part of next week. So this is Thursday, the 1st of June, where we're under a ridge of high pressure, and then the GFS keeps that high pressure quite dominant, really. A little bit weak with the pressure down to the south, so again, maybe some thundery showers threatening southern areas, but overall that high pressure is building through the country as we go through the first week of June. This takes us up to day 10, which is Sunday the 4th of June. And again, high pressure is ridging through, keeping at bay these rain-bearing systems in the Atlantic, although that does look like quite a strong jet stream that's coming out of Newfoundland there, quite a vigorous jet stream. So just how much this high pressure would be able to fend off these areas of low pressure up towards Greenland, I'm not sure. It could be that if we run on a day or two more, this ridge would be broken down. But up to day 10 anyway, the GFS wants to build back high pressure. Now we know from the height anomaly flowchart that the ECMWF is a lot more unsettled. So this is how the latest run of the ECMWF is playing out. Bank Holiday Monday has that area of low pressure in the south, so that again threatening thundery rain to southern parts of the country for Bank Holiday Monday. Then into Tuesday, that low pressure is going away. Everything turns very flabby as we go through into Wednesday. This is called a CAL, and it basically means that you're neither under low pressure or high pressure at that point. Into the second half of next week, though, here comes that area of low pressure that we saw on the height anomaly flowchart, heading in off the Atlantic. This is at odds with what the GFS is doing, but if it's right, it turns much more unsettled into the second half of next week. There'd be low pressure, bringing heavy rain, and we've got another area of low pressure there, down to our southwest. Where's that one going to go? Well, that one actually starts to push in towards us again as we go through into the weekend of the 3rd and the 4th of June. That's been quite a lot of wet weather in across southern parts of the country, and it's quite cool as well with this because we are on the cool side of these areas of low pressure. So a real split there between the GFS and the ECMWF as to what's going to happen next week. Over the weekend, the Bank Holiday weekend, it's going to be warm initially, very hot for the time of year on Saturday. Risk of some thunderstorms in the north and west as well on Saturday. Then thundery rain pushing out of France on Bank Holiday Monday. Again, how extensive, widespread that is, got to wait and see. Come back to the final spring update this evening. And as we go beyond that into next week, it looks like for a day or two, around the middle of next week, we probably will turn things drier and more settled again. It's the second half of next week, but we've got the uncertainty. So in around a week's time, will we build the ridge in and go off and running into another spell of dry and warm weather, or is the ECMWF right and we turn it much more unsettled and a lot cooler as well. That's to be determined. We'll be keeping you updated, of course, over the next few days as to which way this is going to go. Right, so it's the final update for the Spring Bank Holiday weekend this evening. Tomorrow, it's JMA Friday, and also, because we've got so much going on over the weekend, I've brought forward the ENSO update for this month. So the ENSO update is going to be released tomorrow afternoon. We may cram in a Storm Watch as well tomorrow, so keep coming back for all the updates. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.